A decorated war hero, now homeless, faces arrest until officers recognize his name from a legendary battlefield rescue. Will Captain Thompson's dark military secrets finally come to light or destroy what little he has left? The cop car's red and blue lights flash against the gas station windows. I never thought this would be me, a decorated soldier, now facing arrest for trying to stay warm. My dirty fingers shake as I grip the edge of the sink. The bathroom mirror shows a stranger, my hollow cheeks covered in gray stubble, eyes that have seen too much hidden under a worn baseball cap. This quick-stop gas station is the only place with heat for miles. "Sir, you need to leave now." The clerk's voice makes me jump. He's young, maybe 20, with a name tag that reads Mike. His arms are crossed, and his face shows no kindness. "We don't allow loitering. Just washing up." I mumble, trying to sound normal. "Been on the road a while." Mike's eyes narrow. "Been watching you. You've been in here for 40 minutes. Buy something or get out." My stomach growls at the thought of food. The $5 in my pocket could buy a hot dog, but that's bus fare to the shelter downtown. Outside, snow is starting to fall. It'll be below freezing tonight. "Just 5 more minutes," I plead. "Please." Mike reaches below the counter. "That's it. I'm calling the police." Panic rises in my chest. Not the police. Not again. Last time they found me sleeping in the park, they took my military ID for verification and never gave it back. Took 3 weeks to get a replacement. 3 weeks of not being able to access veteran services. "Wait," I say, reaching for my duffel bag. My hand catches a display of energy drinks. They crash to the floor, rolling everywhere. Mike jumps back. "That's it. Get out now," he yells, grabbing the phone. My hands shake harder as I try to gather my things. The nightmares from last night still cloud my mind. Explosions, screaming, the weight of my friend's body as I carried him across the desert. 3 tours in Afghanistan, and for what? To end up here? "Please," I whisper, but Mike is already dialing. I reach into my pocket and pull out my last $5. "I'll buy something." "Too late," Mike snaps. His eyes track me like I'm a criminal. "Hello, police?" I have a homeless man causing trouble at the quick stop on Elmwood. Outside, the snow falls harder. Through the window, I see a woman hurry her children into their warm car. Once I had a home too. A wife. Dreams of children. Before the nightmares. Before the drinking. Before I lost everything trying to do the right thing. I straighten my back. Captain Mason Thompson. That's who I was. Who I still am, somewhere inside. I survived firefights and ambushes. I could survive this night too. The store door jingles as a customer enters. An elderly man in a heavy coat. He glances at me, then quickly looks away. I know that look. I'm invisible. A problem, not a person. "They're sending a car," Mike announces, looking pleased with himself. "Should be here in 5 minutes." My heart sinks. The shelter closes intake at 9 p.m. If I get detained, I'll have nowhere to go afterward. The temperatures will drop to the teens tonight. I try once more. I'm a veteran. I just need... "Don't care," Mike interrupts. "You people always have some story. You people. As if I'm some different species. As if I didn't bleed for this country. As if the medals in my duffel bag mean nothing." The old man buys his coffee and leaves quickly, avoiding eye contact. The bell jingles again, and cold air rushes in. I pull my thin jacket tighter. "At least let me wait inside until they come," I say, looking at the snow. It's freezing. Mike points to the door. "Out. Now." With stiff legs, I walk outside. The cold hits me like a physical blow. I stand under the gas station awning, watching snowflakes swirl in the light. My mind drifts to the desert, so hot the air shimmered. Different kind of hell. Headlights approach. Not a police car, but a truck. It stops at a pump, and a man in his 40s steps out. He glances at me, and something in his face changes. Recognition? I shrink back. There are people who might still be looking for me. People who want to make sure certain truths stay buried. My breathing quickens. Maybe this man is one of them. Maybe this is how it ends. Not in some glorious battle, but outside a gas station in the middle of nowhere. The police car pulls in, lights flashing, but no siren. 2 officers step out. The younger one swaggers, hand resting on his holster. The older one moves with careful precision, scanning everything. A veteran, maybe. He'd understand. Mike points at me through the window. The younger officer approaches. "Let's see some ID," he demands without greeting. His nameplate reads Officer Reed. I reach for my wallet, moving slowly. "I'm not causing trouble, officer. Just needed a warm-up." "That's for us to decide," Reed says. "ID now." I hand over my worn military ID. The only piece of plastic that proves I'm someone. That I matter. "We're used to." The older officer stands back, watching. His nameplate reads Sergeant Walsh. His eyes are kind but tired. He's seen things too. "Mason Thompson." Read from my ID. "No fixed address. Currently between places," I say, trying to sound dignified. Reed smirks. "Between places. Right." He turns to Walsh. "Want to run him?" Walsh nods, taking my ID back to their car. My heart pounds. Will they find it? The record of what happened after I came home? The classified operation? The cover-up? My desperate attempt to expose the truth? Reed stands too close, trying to intimidate me. "What's in the bag?" "Personal items," I say. "Clothes. Toiletries." "Mind if I take a look?" He asks, but it's not really a question. I hesitate. My medals are in there. The flash drive too, the one with evidence that could still bring down people in high places. If they find it. "Actually, I do mind," I say, finding my voice. "Do you have probable cause, officer?" Reed's face darkens. "Got a lawyer now, do we?" From the patrol car, Walsh calls out suddenly. His voice sharp with surprise. "Reed, get over here." Reed gives me a warning look before walking back to the car. They speak in hushed tones, looking at something on their computer. Then both turn to stare at me. My pulse races. This is it. They found my record. My disgrace. My truth. Walsh walks back slowly, his face impossible to read. "Captain Thompson," he asks, his voice completely different. "Captain Mason Thompson of Charlie Company, 2nd Battalion, 75th Rangers? How do you know my rank?" I ask, suddenly alert. Most of my military records had been sealed after what happened. Only someone with high-level clearance would know I was a captain. Walsh's face changes completely. The stern police officer is gone, replaced by something I haven't seen directed at me in years. Respect. "Sir, I need to verify. Were you stationed in Kandahar province in 2013? Walsh asks, his voice softer now. I nod slowly, confused by the shift. "Most of that year, yes." Walsh's Adam's apple bobs as he swallows hard. "Operation Dust Shield?" "The night of April 17th. My breath catches. That night. The worst night. The one that still wakes me screaming. "How do you know about that?" I demand, my voice cracking. "Those records were classified." Reed stands to the side, looking confused. Mike watches from inside the gas station, probably wondering why I'm not in handcuffs yet. Walsh takes off his hat. An unexpected gesture of respect. "Because my brother was there, sir. David Walsh. You saved his life that night." The name hits me like a physical blow. David Walsh. Young. Always smiling despite everything. Terrible poker player. Great shot. Lost his right leg below the knee when our convoy hit those IEDs. "David," I whisper. "He made it home." Walsh nods, eyes glistening. "Thanks to you. He told us how you carried him 3 miles to the extraction point while you were bleeding yourself. How you kept talking to him so he wouldn't go into shock." My mind floods with memories. The weight of David on my shoulders. The sticky warmth of blood, his and mine. The sound of gunfire in the distance. "He said you took a bullet in the shoulder that was meant for him." Walsh continues. I touch my left shoulder unconsciously. The scar there, one of many. We were ambushed. Lost half the squad that night. Reed's posture has changed completely. He stands straighter, almost at attention. "Sir, I had no idea." Walsh gestures to the patrol car. "Please, come sit in our car where it's warm. We need to figure this out." Mike bangs on the gas station window, pointing to his watch, then to me. He wants to know if they're arresting me. "What about your call?" I ask, nodding toward the store. Walsh turns to Reed. "Tell the clerk there's no problem here. Captain Thompson is coming with us." Reed hesitates. "Sarge, protocol says." "I know what protocol says." Walsh interrupts. "This man saved my brother's life. He's a hero, not a vagrant. Go talk to the clerk." As Reed walks toward the store, I notice the man at the gas pump watching us intently. Something about him seems familiar, but I can't place him. He quickly looks away when he catches me watching. Sir, you don't have to call me Captain, I say quietly to Walsh. I'm not in the service anymore. Walsh opens the back door of the patrol car. Once a captain, always a captain. Please, get in where it's warm. The heat inside the car feels like a miracle against my cold skin. I hadn't realized how numb my fingers had become. David made it through med school, Walsh says, turning in his seat to face me. He's a physical therapist now, works with other vets. Has a wife, 2 kids. A lump forms in my throat. One thing went right, at least. I'm glad. Walsh studies me, taking in my worn clothes, my hollow cheeks. Sir, if you don't mind me asking, what happened? How did you end up? He gestures vaguely. How to explain? The classified mission that went wrong. The civilian casualties. The generals who needed someone to blame. The evidence I gathered tried to expose the truth. The dishonorable discharge that wasn't in my official records because, officially, I never existed. It's complicated, I say finally. Reed returns, looking subdued. Clerk's not happy, but I told him we're handling it. From the corner of my eye, I see the man from the gas pump still watching. He's on his phone now, talking urgently. A chill runs down my spine that has nothing to do with the cold. What's your situation right now, Captain? Walsh asks. Do you have somewhere to stay tonight? I think of the shelter downtown. The stench of unwashed bodies. The stolen shoes. The fights over blankets. I'll figure something out. Walsh exchanges a look with Reed. Something unspoken passes between them. Sir, Walsh says carefully, my shift ends in an hour. I have a spare room at home. It's not much, but it's warm. You'd be welcome to it. The offer stuns me. When was the last time someone showed me kindness without wanting something in return? I couldn't impose, I say automatically. It's not an imposition, Walsh insists. It would be an honor. Honor. Such a simple word. One that used to mean everything to me. Reed clears his throat. Sarge, can I talk to you for a minute? The 2 officers step outside the car. Through the fogged window, I see them arguing. Reed gesturing emphatically, Walsh standing firm. I know what Reed is saying. I'm a potential liability. A homeless man with unknown issues. A risk. He's not wrong. As they argue, my eyes drift to the man at the pump again. He's finished fueling, but hasn't left. He's watching the officers now, his phone still pressed to his ear. Something about his stance, military alert. My instincts, honed by years in combat zones, begin to sound an alarm. Walsh returns to the car, his decision apparently made. Captain, you're coming home with me tonight. We'll figure out next steps tomorrow. Reed looks unhappy but resigned. He gets in the driver's seat without comment. Thank you, I say, knowing the words are inadequate. But there's something you should know. Walsh turns to face me. What's that, sir? I hesitate. Should I tell him? About the flash drive in my bag? About the people who might still be looking for me? About how getting involved with me could put his family at risk? Before I can decide, Reed suddenly points through the windshield. That guy's taking pictures of us. I turn to see the man from the pump pointing his phone at our car. When he realizes we've spotted him, he quickly gets into his truck and speeds away. Walsh frowns. Did you recognize him, Captain? My heart pounds as I try to place the face. Was he one of the general's men? Someone from the classified operation? Someone who knows what I know? I'm not sure, I say, watching the truck's taillights disappear. But I think he recognized me. Your brother talks about you all the time, Walsh says as we pull into the police station parking lot. My mind races with questions. Why are we here instead of heading to a shelter? Is this kindness just a trick to get me to lower my guard? He keeps a photo of you and the rest of your unit. Walsh continues, opening my door. Says you're the reason he came home at all. The station is bright and warm after hours in the cold. Officers glance up from their desks, curious about the homeless man being escorted in without handcuffs. I straighten my back by instinct, trying to look like the captain I once was instead of the broken man I've become. Sarge, Chief wants to see you, a desk officer calls out. Says it's urgent. Walsh frowns. Can it wait? I need to get Captain Thompson settled. The word captain makes heads turn. A female officer approaches, studying me with open curiosity. This is Lieutenant Rodriguez, Walsh says. Best officer in the department, besides me. She smiles. Don't let Reed hear you say that. Her eyes scan my worn clothes, but there's no judgment there. Captain Thompson? Military. Army Rangers. I confirm, unsure how much to say. How much they know. My father was 101st Airborne, she says. Vietnam. Common ground. The unspoken brotherhood of those who've seen war. Coffee, she offers. We've got a fresh pot. Coffee sounds like heaven. Real coffee, not the watered-down stuff from shelters. Thank you. Walsh's phone buzzes. He checks it, frowning at the screen. Chief says it can't wait. Lieutenant, can you get the captain settled in the break room? I'll be back in 5. As Walsh disappears down the hall, Rodriguez leads me to a small room with a table, chairs, and a coffee pot that smells like salvation. My stomach growls loudly. When's the last time you ate, Captain? She asks directly. Pride makes me hesitate, but hunger wins. Yesterday morning. Without comment, she disappears, returning minutes later with a sandwich and apple from the vending machine. It's not much. I take the food, fighting the urge to wolf it down. Thank you. She sits across from me. So how do you know Walsh? I admit. Not really. I served with his brother. David, she nods. The physical therapist. Walsh never stops talking about him. Says his big brother's a miracle worker. I take a careful bite of the sandwich. Good to hear he's doing well. Rodriguez studies me. Mind if I ask what happened? You're clearly military. Officers don't usually end up homeless. I finish for her. The word still stings. She nods, not apologizing for the question. I consider what to tell her. The truth would put her in danger too. Everyone who knows too much about Operation Sandstorm ends up dead or disgraced. Like me. Made some enemies, I say finally. Powerful ones. Her eyes sharpen with interest. Military enemies? I look around the break room, suddenly aware of possible listening devices. Paranoia never leaves you once you've lived with it. Something like that, I say quietly. The door opens and Reed enters, looking unhappy. Rodriguez, Chief wants you too. She frowns. Now, Reed confirms. Something about a bolo just came in. Be on the lookout. My heart rate doubles. Are they looking for me? Rodriguez stands. Will you be okay here for a few minutes, Captain? I nod, forcing a calm I don't feel. As they leave, I hear Reed's whispered question. Why is everyone calling him Captain? Alone, I quickly scan the room. 2 doors, 1 window, vending machine, microwave. Old habits die hard. Always know your exits. My duffel bag sits beside me, containing everything I own. I touch it, feeling for the hidden pocket where I keep the flash drive. Still there. On the drive, encrypted files detail what really happened. The names of civilians killed in the covert operation. The orders from the top to cover it up. The evidence that could bring down 3 generals and a senator, if I live long enough to share it. The break room television plays softly in the corner. A news anchor speaks excitedly. In breaking news, Senator James Harmon has announced his candidacy for president. The decorated general turned politician leads early polls. I freeze at the name. General Harmon. The man who gave the order. The man who made me a scapegoat when I threatened to talk. The man who wants me dead. The door opens, and Walsh returns looking troubled. Sorry about that, Captain. Something's come up. Anything I should worry about? I ask carefully. He hesitates. Someone's been asking about you. A man came by the gas station after we left, showing your picture around. My blood runs cold. What did he look like? Military type. Crew cut. Scar on his right cheek. Colonel Richards. Harmon's attack dog. The one who told me I'd be dead within a day if I didn't disappear. Did he identify himself? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Said he was your brother. Walsh says, watching my reaction. Looking for his lost family member. I almost laugh at the absurdity. I'm an only child. Walsh nods, as if confirming a suspicion. That's what I thought. Captain, level with me. Are you in some kind of trouble? The million-dollar question. The one that could get us both killed. Before I can answer, Rodriguez returns with a concerned expression. Sarge, we need to talk. Privately. Walsh looks between us. Give us a minute, Captain. They step outside, but the door doesn't close completely. Their hushed voices drift in. The bolo is for him, Rodriguez whispers. Department of Defense issued. Says he's wanted for questioning about stolen classified materials. That doesn't make sense, Walsh argues. My brother says he's a hero. It gets worse, Rodriguez continues. I ran his name through the system. According to records, Captain Mason Thompson was killed in action 3 years ago. My heart pounds so loudly I'm sure they can hear it. My official death was part of the cover-up. Easier to silence a dead man. The door opens, and both officers return. Their expressions have changed. More guarded now, uncertain. Captain, Walsh says carefully, I think you have a story to tell. I look between them, these good people caught in my dangerous orbit. If I tell them the truth, I put them at risk. If I run, I'll be on the streets again, with Richards hunting me. Yes, I say finally. But not here. I tap my ear and gesture around the room. Listening devices. Paranoid? Maybe. But paranoia has kept me alive. Understanding dawns in Walsh's eyes. He nods slightly. My shift ends in 20 minutes. We'll talk at my place. As if on cue, his radio crackles. All units be advised. Armed robbery in progress at First National Bank. Walsh stands. Duty calls. Rodriguez will stay with you. As Walsh rushes out, Rodriguez sits across from me. So, she says quietly, want to tell me why the DOD thinks you're dead? The drive to Walsh's home feels like entering another world. Tree-lined streets. Normal houses with warm lights and windows. Children's bicycles and driveways. A life so far from my reality that it might as well be a movie. My wife, Ellen, doesn't know you're coming, Walsh says as we pull into a modest driveway. But she's used to my strays. The porch light flips on before we reach the door. A woman appears, mid-40s, kind eyes, exhaustion lines around her mouth. Honey, she questions, looking at me with surprise but not alarm. Ellen, this is Captain Thompson, Walsh says. He served with David. Her expression transforms instantly. The Captain Thompson? The one who carried David to safety. I shift uncomfortably. It wasn't just me. We all looked out for each other. Well, don't stand in the cold, Ellen says, stepping aside. Come in, come in. The house smells of pot roast and clean laundry. Photos line the walls. Walsh and Ellen's wedding, a teenage girl in a soccer uniform, family holidays. And there, on the mantle, a group photo of soldiers in desert camo. David Walsh is there, arms slung around my younger self. Both of us smiling, unaware of what lay ahead. Mom? Who's here? A teenage girl appears at the top of the stairs, eyeing me suspiciously. Lily, this is Captain Thompson, Ellen explains. He served with Uncle David. The girl's eyes widen. The Captain Thompson? Dad talks about you all the time. I feel like an imposter. These people see me as a hero, not knowing the secrets I carry, not knowing the danger I've brought to their doorstep. Are you hungry? Ellen asks. We just finished dinner, but there's plenty left. My stomach answers before I can speak, growling loudly. Ellen smiles and heads to the kitchen without waiting for my response. Bathroom's down the hall if you want to clean up, Walsh offers. I can lend you some clothes. Clean clothes. A hot meal. Simple kindnesses that feel overwhelming after years on the streets. In the bathroom, I stare at my reflection. Hollow cheeks. Gray in my beard that wasn't there 3 years ago. Eyes that have seen too much. I wash my face and hands, trying to make myself presentable. I knock at the door. Walsh passes in a set of sweatpants and a t-shirt. These should fit. Take your time. The clothes smell of laundry detergent. I change quickly, stuffing my dirty clothes into my duffel bag. The flash drive I transfer to the pocket of the sweatpants. Never let it out of my possession. Never. At the dinner table, Ellen serves pot roast, potatoes, and green beans. Real food. Not shelter slop or gas station hot dogs. David comes for Sunday dinner every week with his family, Ellen explains. He's going to be shocked when we tell him you're here. I freeze mid-bite. Maybe don't tell him just yet. Walsh gives me a sharp look. Why not? How'd explain? That anyone who knows I'm alive could be in danger? That Colonel Richards is already hunting me? It's complicated, I say lamely. Walsh's police radio, charging on the counter, crackles suddenly. All units be advised, suspecting the first national robbery, still at large. Armed and dangerous. Shouldn't you be helping? I ask, grateful for the change of subject. Walsh shakes his head. Not my jurisdiction. City police handle that area. You take a bite of food, then ask casually, "So, Captain, want to tell me why the Department of Defense thinks you're dead?" Ellen and Lily both look up, startled. I set down my fork carefully. "It's a long story." "We got time," Walsh says. I look at the family. These good people who've welcomed me into their home. They deserve the truth, or at least part of it. 3 years ago, I was assigned to a classified operation. I begin slowly. Something went wrong. Very wrong. Walsh nods, encouraging me to continue. Civilians died. I say, the words still painful to speak aloud. The official report blamed intelligence failures. Said we had bad information about the target. But that wasn't true. Walsh guesses. I shake my head. The intelligence was solid. The target was legitimate. But someone high up changed the mission parameters at the last minute. Expanded the strike zone to include a village that wasn't supposed to be hit. Ellen's hand covers her mouth. Lily looks between her parents, confused but sensing the tension. I filed reports. Followed the chain of command. Nothing happened. I continue. Then I found evidence that it wasn't a mistake. That someone had deliberately ordered the expanded strike zone, knowing civilians would be killed. Walsh's expression darkens. Ooh, before I can answer, a phone rings, my burner phone, the one luxury I keep charged at public outlets. Only 3 people have this number, and 2 of them think I'm dead. I pull it from my bag, checking the screen. Unknown number. "Excuse me," I say, stepping away from the table. I answer cautiously. "Hello. They know you're back, Mason," a familiar voice says without greeting. "You're not safe. Colonel Richards, my former commander, the man who warned me to disappear. How did you get this number?" I demand. "That doesn't matter," he says urgently. "What matters is they've found you. There's a kill team on the way. You need to move. Now, why are you warning me?" I ask, suspicious. "Richards always served Harmon faithfully. Because I was wrong," he says simply. "I've seen the evidence you tried to show us. Harmon is going down, Mason. But you need to stay alive to testify." My mind reels. Testify. Senate hearing next week on military accountability, Richards explains. "We need you there. The documents you smuggled out, they match others that have surfaced. It's enough to build a case." Hope, dangerous, fragile hope, blooms in my chest. How do I know this isn't a trap? "You don't," Richards admits. "But check the news. Harmon's campaign announcement today. It's a smokescreen. He knows we're closing in." The television in the living room confirms it. Senator Harmon smiling for cameras, announcing his presidential run. "Get somewhere safe," Richards continues. "I'll contact you tomorrow with extraction details." The line goes dead. I stand frozen, phone in hand. "Captain," Walsh calls from the dining room. "Everything okay?" I return to the table, mind racing. "That was my former commander," I say slowly. "And," Walsh prompts. "And we need to leave," I say, gathering my bag. "All of you. Right now." "What?" Ellen exclaims. "Why?" "Because I've brought danger to your home," I say, the guilt crushing me. "Men are coming. Men who will kill anyone who gets in their way." Walsh stands, military training kicking in. "How many? How soon?" "I don't know," I admit. "Minutes, maybe." "Lily, go pack a bag," Walsh orders. "Quick now." As the family scrambles, Walsh pulls his service weapon from its lockbox. "Captain, what exactly are we dealing with here?" Before I can answer, headlights sweep across the front window. A vehicle pulling up outside. "Get down," I shout, lunging to hit the light switch. The house plunges into darkness just as the first shots shatter the front window. Glass shatters across the living room floor as bullets tear through the front window. I grab Lily and pull her down behind the couch. Walsh shields Ellen with his body, his police training kicking in instantly. "Bathroom. Now," Walsh shouts, his voice steady despite the chaos. No windows, solid door. We crawl through the hallway as more shots punch through the walls. My heart pounds in my ears, but my mind is clear. Combat mode. The place I've lived for too many years. "Stay down," I tell the family once we're in the bathroom. Walsh locks the door and pulls out his phone. "This is Sergeant Walsh. Shots fired at my residence. Officer and civilians under fire. Send all available units." I listen for movement outside. 2 shooters, maybe 3. Professional. They're not spraying bullets randomly. They're using controlled bursts, conserving ammunition. I'm so sorry. I whispered to the family huddled on the bathroom floor. This is my fault. Walsh checks his service weapon. 6 rounds. Not enough. Who are these people? Ellen asks, her voice trembling but controlled. She holds Lily close, the girl's face buried against her shoulder. Men who want to keep certain truths hidden. I answer. Men who think I'm already dead. A heavy thud shakes the front door. They're trying to break in. Back door, Walsh says. It leads to the garage. If we can get to my car. Another burst of gunfire. Closer now. They're inside the house. Give me your gun, I say to Walsh. He hesitates for only a second before handing it over. What's your plan? I'll draw their fire, I say, checking the weapon. Get your family to the car. I'm not leaving you here, Walsh argues. This isn't your fight, I tell him. It's mine. Always has been. The hell it isn't, Walsh growls. You saved my brother. That makes it my fight too. Heavy footsteps move through the house, slow and methodical. Professional killers taking their time. They know we're cornered. We need another weapon, I whisper. Walsh points to the cabinet under the sink. Baseball bat. Best I can do. I pull it out. Aluminum solid weight. Better than nothing. When I open the door, I whisper, I'll go left, you go right. Ellen and Lily stay here until we clear a path. Walsh nods, taking the bat. Ellen's face is pale but determined. Be careful, she whispers to her husband. I count down silently. 3, 2, 1. We burst through the door, surprising a man in black tactical gear at the end of the hallway. I fire twice, catching him in the chest. He drops. Clear. I call, moving toward the kitchen. A second man appears from the living room, raising his weapon. Walsh swings the bat with all his strength, catching the man's arm. The gun clatters to the floor. I dive for it as Walsh tackles the intruder. They struggle on the ground, trading blows. The man is younger, stronger, but Walsh fights with the desperation of a father protecting his family. I aim the new weapon, waiting for a clear shot. Freeze! I shout, the command voice of a captain returning naturally. The intruder looks up, his eyes narrowing when he sees me. You're supposed to be dead, he snarls. Disappointed? I ask, keeping the gun steady. He spits blood onto the floor. Others are coming. You can't run forever. Walsh handcuffs the man with his police cuffs. You picked the wrong house to shoot up, buddy. Sirens wail in the distance, growing louder. Backup is on the way. The man smiles, unworried. It sends a chill down my spine. You don't get it, he says, looking at me. We're everywhere. Police, military, government. You'll never be safe. I study his face, trying to place him. Not someone from my unit or the mission. A hired gun, then. Someone who doesn't know the full story, just knows I'm a target. Who sent you? I demand. He laughs. You know who. The same man who's going to be our next president. Walsh picks up the fallen attacker's radio. A voice crackles through. Team 2 report. What's your status? Team 2. There's more coming. We need to move, I tell Walsh. Now. The front of the house is a mess of broken glass and bullet holes. We hurry Ellen and Lily through the kitchen toward the garage, keeping low. My car keys, Walsh remembers suddenly. They're on the hook by the front door. I head back through the destroyed living room, scanning for the keys. There, hanging on a small rack near the entrance. As I reach for them, I see headlights through the shattered window. A black SUV pulls up to the curb. Team 2 has arrived. I grab the keys and race back to the garage. Walsh has the family in the car already, engine running. Go, I shout, throwing him the keys. Get them somewhere safe. What about you? Walsh asks, even as more shots ring out from the front of the house. I'll draw them off, I say. Keep your family safe. That's an order, Sergeant. Ellen reaches through the window, gripping my arm. You come find us. You hear me, Captain? You find us. Her kindness nearly breaks me. I will. I promise, though I don't know if I can keep it. Walsh looks torn, but nods sharply. The fishing cabin. My brother's place at Lake Mercer. We'll be there. The garage door opens. I slap the roof of their car. Go. As they speed away, I turn back toward the house. I can hear men entering, shouting commands to each other. Professional. Deadly. I find the fallen attacker's weapon and spare magazines. If I'm going down, I'll go down fighting. But as I prepare to make my stand, a side door I hadn't noticed opens. A hand reaches out, grabs my collar, and yanks me through. This way, a familiar voice whispers, "Unless you want to die tonight." Colonel Richards stands before me, finger to his lips. He points to a car idling in the alley behind the house. "Why should I trust you?" I hiss. "Because I'm the only chance you've got," he answers simply. Behind us, men storm through the house. My time has run out. I make my choice and follow Richards to the waiting car. "Duck down," Richards orders as we speed away from Walsh's neighborhood. I slide below the window line, my whole body tense and ready for betrayal. Is this a rescue, or am I being delivered to my executioners? "How did you find me?" I ask, keeping the gun I took from the attacker aimed at Richard's side. He glances at the weapon, but doesn't comment on it. Same way they did. Facial recognition picked you up at the gas station. Once they had a location, it was just a matter of tracking Walsh's movements. Those were professional killers back there. I say, "Military contractors?" Richards nods grimly. "Harmon's private security team. Off the books, of course. Why are you helping me?" I demand. "You're Harmon's right-hand man. Always have been." Richards drives in silence for a moment, his face tight with emotion I can't read. Finally, he speaks. "They kill my son." The words hang in the air between us. "What?" "My son, Ryan. Air Force Intelligence. He started asking questions about the same operation you were investigating. 6 months ago, he died in a training accident." My grip on the gun loosens slightly. "I'm sorry. I didn't believe it at first," Richards continues. "Thought it was just bad luck. Then I found Ryan's encrypted files. He'd been gathering evidence too. Same as you." We drive in silence for several minutes. The city falls away, replaced by darkness and trees. I should be frightened, being driven to a remote location by a man I've long considered an enemy. But instead, I feel only exhaustion. "Where are we going?" I finally ask. "Somewhere safe," Richard says. "A place no one knows about. Walsh and his family. They'll be fine," Richard assures me. "The kill team was after you, not them. Once they realize you're gone, they'll move on." I'm not convinced. I need to warn them. "No phones," Richard says firmly. "No contact with anyone until after the hearing." "What hearing?" Richards glances at me. "Senate Intelligence Committee. They've been building a case against Harmon for months. Your evidence was just the beginning. Now, they have collaborating testimony from 3 other officers who were involved." Hope rises in my chest. Dangerous, fragile hope. "They believe me?" "They do," Richard confirms. "And in 4 days, you'll testify before them. Tell them everything you know." The car turns onto a dirt road, barely visible in the darkness. Trees crowd close on either side. "I've been running for 3 years," I say quietly, "living on streets and in shelters." "For what?" "So I could die in the woods tonight." Richard's face softens slightly. "You're not going to die tonight, Mason. I promise you that." The road ends at a small cabin, dark and seemingly abandoned. Richards cuts the engine, but doesn't immediately get out. "I should have believed you 3 years ago," he says, staring straight ahead. "When you came to me with your concerns about the mission, I should have listened." "Why didn't you?" His hands tighten on the steering wheel. "Because I trusted the wrong man. Because I believed in the chain of command more than I believed in what was right." It's the most honest thing I've ever heard him say. "And now?" I ask. "Now I want to make it right," he says simply. "For my son. For those civilians. For you." Inside the cabin, dust covers sparse furniture. Richards flips a switch, and solar-powered lights flicker to life. "It's not much," he says, "but it's off the grid. No electricity except what the solar panels provide. No internet. No cell service. We're ghosts here." I look around the small space, kitchen area, living room with a fireplace, 2 doors that likely lead to bedrooms. After years on the streets, it feels like a palace. "There's food in the cupboards," Richard says. "Clean clothes in the bedroom. Bathroom is running water from a well." "How long do we stay here?" I ask. "Until the hearing," Richards answers. 3 days. On the 4th morning, I'll drive you to Washington. 3 days of safety. 3 days to prepare. 3 days before I finally tell the world what really happened. Get some rest, Richard suggests. You look like you need it. He's right. I can't remember the last time I slept without one eye open, without the constant fear of being discovered. In the small bedroom, I find new clothes still in packaging: jeans, t-shirts, flannel shirts, underwear, socks. All my size. Richards has been planning this for some time. After a hot shower, my first in weeks, I change into clean clothes and return to the main room. Richards sits at a small table, documents spread before him. These are copies of everything we have, he explains. Your evidence, Ryan's files, testimony from the other officers. The case against Harmon is solid, but your testimony is the linchpin. You're the only one who was in the room when he gave the direct order to expand the strike zone. I pick up one of the documents, satellite images of the village before and after the strike. The destruction is total. My hands shake. 47 civilians, I say quietly. 17 children. Richards nods solemnly, and Harmon knew they were there. The intelligence was clear. Why? I asked the question that's haunted me for 3 years. Why would he order it? Richards slides another document across the table. This is what my son found. The village was sitting on top of one of the richest rare earth mineral deposits in the region. A week after the strike, a mining company with ties to Harmon filed exploration rights. The pieces fall into place. Money. It's always about money. He killed those people for mining rights. The horror of it steals my breath. And he'll be president if we don't stop him, Richards says grimly. A knock at the door freezes us both. Richards signals for silence, drawing his weapon. No one should know we're here. The knocking comes again, more insistent. Then a voice calls out, Colonel Richards? Captain Thompson? It's Sergeant Walsh. Richards and I exchange looks of confusion. How did Walsh find us? Stay here, Richards mouths, moving silently to the door, gun ready. He peers through a small window, then relaxes slightly. It's him, alone. Richards opens the door cautiously. Walsh stands there, his police uniform replaced by civilian clothes, his face grim. How did you find us? Richards demands. Track your car, Walsh says. I put a tracker on it back at my house when I realized who you were. Richards swears under his breath. I'm getting sloppy. Walsh steps inside, eyes scanning the cabin before settling on me. You okay, Captain? I nod. Your family, safe in my brother's cabin, Walsh confirms. But we have a problem. He pulls out his phone, showing us a breaking news alert. Shooter killed in police standoff identified AS decorated veteran. My photo stares back at me from screen, not my current bearded hollow cheek face, but my military ID photo from years ago. They're framing you for the attack on my house, Walsh says grimly. The news is reporting that a disturbed homeless veteran opened fire on a police officer's home before being killed by responders. But that's not possible, I protest. I'm not dead. The body they recovered is, Richards says quietly, someone who looks enough like you to pass a rushed identification. The implication hits me like a physical blow. They killed someone to frame me? Richards nods grimly. Now if you show up at the Senate hearing, I'll be arrested immediately. I finish his thought. My testimony will never be heard. Walsh looks between us. What hearing? As Richard explains, I sink into a chair. After 3 years of running, of suffering, of holding on to the truth, it might all be for nothing. Harmon is always one step ahead. There has to be another way, Walsh says when Richards finishes. Some way to get the truth out. I think of the flash drive in my pocket, the evidence I've guarded so carefully. Is there another path? Walsh's phone rings, interrupting my thoughts. He checks the screen, face paling. It's my wife, he says. Something's wrong. He answers, listening intently. His expression darkens with each passing second. We'll be right there, he says finally, ending the call. What happened? I ask, already dreading the answer. Walsh's voice is tight with controlled fury. They found the cabin. Ellen and Lily got away, but they have my brother. David, I whisper. The man I saved years ago is now in danger because of me. They left a message, Walsh continues. They'll trade him for you, Captain. Your life for his. Blood pounded in my ears as I walked toward the Veterans Memorial Park. The sun was setting, painting the sky orange and red. 3 kids raced past me on bikes, laughing. How simple their lives must be. I checked over my shoulder for the 5th time in 2 minutes. Was someone following me? I couldn't tell anymore. The tall statue of a soldier stood in the middle of the park, his stone eyes forever watching. I was supposed to meet Colonel Richards here, the man who might help clear my name. Instead, I found Walsh standing alone by the eternal flame, hands in his pockets. My steps slowed. "Richards sent me," Walsh said, his face serious. No smile, no handshake. "There's a Senate hearing tomorrow on military accountability. They need your testimony." My throat went dry. Coming forward meant stepping into the spotlight, the very place I'd been avoiding for years. "Why now?" I asked. Walsh glanced around before speaking again. "They arrested General Harmon this morning. The documents you smuggled out were right." My legs almost gave out. General Harmon, the man who had ordered the bombing of what he knew was a village of innocent families, then blamed it on bad intelligence. The man who had me branded a traitor when I tried to expose the truth. "How did they find him?" I asked, hardly believing what I was hearing. Someone on the inside finally talked. Walsh explained. "A colonel who couldn't live with the guilt anymore. Your evidence matched his story perfectly. For 3 years, I'd carried those documents with me, hidden in different places, never far from reach. Papers that proved Harmon had been told civilians were in the area before he gave the order to strike. Evidence that could have cleared my name long ago if anyone had been willing to listen. "I don't know if I can do this," I said, looking down at my shaking hands. Walsh stepped closer. "My brother would want you to. You save his life. Now save your own." A mother pushed a stroller past us on the path. A jogger ran by with his dog. Normal people living normal lives. Could I ever have that again? "The hearing starts at 9 tomorrow morning," Walsh continued. "Richards has a safe house ready. You'll be protected until then." I thought about it. If I testified, I might finally get my life back. My rank. My honor. I might be able to walk down the street without looking over my shoulder. "Okay," I said finally. "I'll do it." Walsh smiled for the first time, relief clear on his face. "Good man. My car's just across the street. We can." The crack of a gunshot cut him off. Walsh's body jerked backward. A red stain bloomed on his shoulder as he collapsed to the ground. "Walsh!" I shouted, diving toward him as another bullet whizzed past my ear. People in the park screamed. The mother with the stroller ran for cover. The jogger pulled his dog behind a tree. I dragged Walsh behind the stone base of the memorial statue as more bullets struck the granite, sending chips flying. My heart hammered as old training kicked in. "Stay low. Find cover. Locate the shooter." "How bad?" I asked, checking Walsh's wound. Blood soaked his shirt, but the bullets seemed to have missed anything vital. "I'll live," he grunted, face tight with pain. "But you won't if you stay here." I peered around the edge of the statue. There, on the roof of the library across the street, a glint of metal caught the fading sunlight. The shooter. "Press hard here," I told Walsh, placing his hand over the wound. "I'll be back." "Thompson, don't," Walsh started, but I was already moving. I stayed low, zigzagging between trees and benches. Another shot rang out, splintering wood where I had been seconds before. I reached the edge of the park and spotted a fire escape on the side of the library building. 3 deep breaths. Then I ran, expecting to feel a bullet in my back at any moment. I reached the metal ladder and climbed as fast as my arms would allow. My old shoulder wound screamed in pain, but I pushed through it. At the top of the fire escape, I pulled myself onto the roof. The shooter hadn't noticed me yet. He was still focused on the memorial statue where he thought I was hiding with Walsh. I recognized him immediately. Specialist Reeves. He had been on Harmon's security detail. Now he was here to make sure I never testified. I moved silently across the rooftop, staying in the shadows. Reeves adjusted his rifle, preparing for another shot. He was so focused on his target that he didn't hear me approach. When I was 3 feet away, my boot scraped against the rooftop gravel. Reeves spun around, swinging the rifle toward me. I lunged forward, grabbing the barrel and pushing it upward. A shot fired into the air. We struggled for control of the weapon. Reeves was younger, stronger, but I was fighting for my life, for my future. I slammed my forehead into his nose. He stumbled back, blood pouring down his face. "It's over, Reeves," I gasped, wrenching the rifle from his hands. "Nothing's over," he spat. "They'll never let you testify." He reached for something at his back, a pistol. I didn't think. I swung the rifle like a club, catching him across the temple. Reeves crumpled to the ground, unconscious. Police sirens wailed in the distance, getting closer. I zip-tied Reeves' hands with his own gear and ran back to the fire escape. When I reached Walsh, he was pale but alert. A small crowd had gathered, keeping their distance. "Ambulance is coming," a woman told me, her phone still in her hand. Blue lights flashed as police cars surrounded the park. Officers jumped out, weapons drawn. One of them was Reed. "Don't shoot," Walsh called out, his voice weaker than before. "He saved me." Reed lowered his gun slowly, confusion on his face. "Thompson, what happened?" "Shooter on the library roof," I explained, pointing. "He's restrained but armed." As paramedics rushed to help Walsh, I explained everything to Reed. The Senate hearing, General Harmon's arrest, the attempt to silence me before I could testify. "You're saying this goes all the way up to a general?" Reed asked, eyes wide. "Higher," I said grimly. "Tomorrow the world will know just how high." As they loaded Walsh into the ambulance, he grabbed my hand. "Promise me you'll be there tomorrow," he said. "Finish what you started." I nodded, watching as they closed the ambulance doors. The sky had grown dark. Tomorrow would bring either justice or more danger. But for the first time in years, I felt something I had almost forgotten: hope. Camera flashes blinded me as I walked up the steps of the Capitol building. News reporters shouted questions from behind police barriers. My new suit felt stiff and strange after years of worn jackets and faded jeans. Colonel Richards walked beside me, along with two serious-faced agents in dark suits. "Remember," Richards said quietly, "just tell the truth. That's all you need to do." Easy for him to say. He hadn't spent 3 years hiding from the most powerful military leaders in the country. The Senate hearing room was packed with people. Rows of chairs filled with reporters, military officials, and curious citizens. At the front, a long table where senators sat looking through papers. Behind a second table sat General Harmon and 3 other high-ranking officers, all in full uniform covered with medals. Their faces were stone-cold as I walked in. I spotted Walsh in the crowd, his arm in a sling. Next to him sat Officer Reed and, surprisingly, Mike from the gas station. Walsh gave me a small nod of encouragement. "Captain Mason Thompson," announced the committee chairman, Senator Blackwell. "Please be seated." My throat went dry as I sat at the witness table. A microphone stood in front of me, ready to carry my words to the entire nation. "Captain Thompson," Senator Blackwell began, "3 years ago, you were accused of stealing classified documents and spreading false information about a military operation in Konar Province, Afghanistan. Is that correct?" I leaned toward the microphone. "Yes, Senator." "And you then disappeared, effectively deserting your post." "Correct. I went into hiding because my life was in danger," I replied, my voice steadier than I felt. Senator Blackwell raised his eyebrows. "That's a serious claim, Captain. Less than 24 hours ago, someone tried to kill both me and Sergeant Walsh of the local police department to prevent me from being here today," I said. The room filled with murmurs. I believe that attack was ordered by the same people who gave the command to bomb a village of innocent civilians and then covered it up. General Harmon's face darkened. His lawyer whispered something to him. For the next hour, I told my story. I explained how I had been stationed at headquarters when the intelligence came in about suspected terrorists in a remote village. I described seeing the clear satellite images showing children playing, women hanging laundry, obvious signs of civilian life. I personally delivered this intelligence to General Harmon. I testified. He looked at the images, then said, and I quote, "Collateral damage is unavoidable in war." Gasps filled the room. Harmon's face turned red with anger. "The bombing was carried out that night," I continued. 47 civilians died, including 16 children. The official report claimed there had been no indication of civilian presence. I took a deep breath before delivering the final blow. When I tried to report this through proper channels, my security clearance was revoked. When I persisted, Threats were made against me. That's when I gathered what evidence I could and left. Senator Blackwell looked grave. And the evidence you gathered, do you have it with you today? I nodded and handed over a sealed envelope containing copies of the satellite images, the original intelligence reports, and the falsified after-action reports. As the senators examined the documents, I caught General Harmon's eye. His look promised revenge. Then a door at the back of the room opened. 2 military police officers entered, followed by a thin man in uniform that I recognized immediately. Major Ellis, Harmon's former aide. Senators, Ellis said, his voice shaking slightly, I have additional evidence to present. Ellis walked forward and placed a small flash drive on the table. This contains audio recordings of meetings where General Harmon and others deliberately planned the cover-up. It also includes names of everyone involved in the attempt to silence Captain Thompson. The room erupted. Harmon jumped to his feet, shouting about treason. His lawyer tried desperately to calm him down. Photographers' cameras clicked rapidly, capturing the moment. "Order!" shouted Senator Blackwell, banging his gavel. "This hearing will take a 30-minute recess while we review this new evidence." As the room slowly emptied, I stayed seated, too overwhelmed to move. Ellis approached me carefully. "I'm sorry it took me so long," he said quietly. "I was afraid." I nodded, understanding completely. "Thank you for coming forward." When the hearing resumed, everything happened quickly. The recordings were damning. General Harmon and the others were taken into custody. Senator Blackwell announced a full investigation into the chain of command. "Captain Thompson," the senator said finally, "on behalf of this committee and this nation, I offer our deepest apologies for what you have endured. Your rank and honors are hereby fully restored, with back pay for all time missed." The room broke into applause. I sat there stunned. After 3 years of running, of being called a traitor, of sleeping under bridges, it was over. Outside the Capitol, a crowd had gathered. As I walked down the steps with Richards, people cheered. A group of veterans in uniform stood at attention and saluted me as I passed. Walsh pushed through the crowd, his arms still in a sling, but a huge smile on his face. Reed stood beside him, looking impressed. Even Mike from the gas station was there, his eyes now filled with respect rather than suspicion. "Welcome home, Captain," Walsh said, extending his good hand. "Welcome home," I repeated, the words feeling strange and wonderful. As reporters surged forward with questions, I caught sight of a young woman standing at the edge of the crowd, David Walsh's sister, who I had never met but recognized from photos her brother had shown me years ago. She wiped tears from her eyes and mouthed 2 words, "Thank you." For the first time in years, I stood tall. No more hiding, no more running, no more shame for something I didn't do. The future stretched before me, uncertain but full of possibility. Maybe I would rejoin the military. Maybe I would work with veterans who, like me, had fallen through the cracks. Whatever came next, I would face it standing in the light. "Captain Thompson," called a reporter. "What will you do now?" I smiled, a real smile that felt foreign on my face after so long. "First," I said, "I'm going to get a good night's sleep." The crowd laughed. Walsh clapped me on the shoulder. And then, the reporter pressed. I looked at the faces around me. Walsh, Reed, the veterans who had come to show support. "Then I'm going to make sure this never happens to another soldier. Ever again." As the sun broke through the clouds overhead, I took a deep breath of free air. My name was Captain Mason Thompson, and once again, it was a name that commanded respect.